We live. We are live. We are live. We are live. It is Monday. It is 6:05 p.m. And we are here with another amazing episode of Create Your Future Self Live. I am one of your amazing hosts. I'm Laquita Mongley. I am the military spouse that provides work from home opportunities for other military spouses as well as civilians. And my amazing co-host, Mr. Victor Nico the Don of Nico Don Project, is with us again. What's going on, Vic? And our amazing guests, Miss Toya and Ahmad Rashad of the Relationship Podcast. Everybody, what's up? What's up? What's up?
Hey. Look, that intro for Victor, I felt like I was at a boxing match.
That's what's up, baby. That's it. We keep it lively over here, man.
Yeah, man.
Thank you so much, Laquita. We appreciate that introduction. And again, we want to welcome everybody to Create Your Future Self Live. If you're on Facebook, Instagram, Periscope, all those platforms, go ahead and like, share, comment, spread the word, get your community involved. I know there's people out there that have been wanting to get their own podcast going, and we got some great experts on today with us talking about how they got started with their podcast, and they may even drop you a couple of tidbits on how you can get started as well. So without further ado, we're going to jump right in. We got the beautiful Toya in here, and we got Ahmad Rashad, man, former football player. Not that Ahmad.
What's up?
We in here, man. We in here. It's a party, right?
How y'all doing? Tell us a little bit of where y'all from, man. Where y'all coming from?
All right. Well, you want to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay, you go first. All right.
I am from the Big D, not Detroit, Dallas.
Like, get it right.
Get it right.
Born and raised here, and still here now. So this is home.
Right. And I'm a military brat like my girl Laquita. Mm-hmm. So we're from America. Right. We're just from America because we travel. But if I had to choose, I'm originally from I claim Virginia and Bermuda as my childhood. So those are the areas that I claim. But my family is from Louisiana and Texas.
See, so you sound like my daughter. If somebody asks her where you from, she'll look. If I'm in the room, she'll look at me like my where I'm from.
Yeah.
Like today, like where am I from today?
Where I'm from today.
I'll tell you.
Yep, and of course I'm the executive producer of Toya's show. She's one of third of a co-host team called the Relationship podcast, where we analyze pop culture to provide you with good relationship advice that works. Mm-hmm. And of course, with me executive producing her, I also help produce other podcasts, and I teach people how to do it. And that's basically what me and Toya does. So I'm like the corporate guy, believe it or not. And she is the talented, creative relationship expert. So
that's a good way.
Yeah, it is. I think so too. If you go to her Instagram at Toya_marriage advice, you tell me if her situation is not entertaining and creative. Like, it is phenomenal.
I try.
She does a really good job, Now
I see. I'm on her Instagram page now. I see she gives some real good guidance. So we're gonna dig into all of that today.
Okay, cool.
One question that I do have though is, when did you guys meet? Where did you meet? And then when did the podcast get started? Just jump right in.
My story is better. No matter what she says, my story is better. But I'm gonna let her go for it.
So it was a really nice day back in 2003. Mm-hmm. We met in 2003, downtown Dallas at Club Blue.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we met at a club, y'all. We met at a club.
Yeah,
what, when y'all was like 6 years old? Man, what's going on?
I mean, yeah. Look, we are the legit Benjamin Button family, We age backwards here, bro.
Nice.
But so we met at Club Blue, and that was kind of it. We got married in 2010.
Okay.
You see all them years?
Look, man, you gotta make sure.
I just try to close by that, man.
Look.
So
I ain't gonna say nothing. I'm just I ain't gonna say nothing.
Yeah, we got married in 2010. Had our son in 2014, and the podcast started a little over a year ago.
Yeah. So started the podcast. Well, really, the podcast launched in August of last year.
Right.
And but we started doing the show on my online radio station. Mm-hmm. So we did that first, and then we transitioned into a podcast. So yeah. So that's the long and the short of it, man. You don't want to hear about that relationship part. Please don't go there. Laquita, I've been on your shows before, and you know, come on, we don't want to go there.
You want to go there? We'll go there now.
Hey, I'm just saying, you know, sometimes that's what we need to talk about right there. Like we got one of our viewers here, you know, the amazing Bishop Edwards, and he is an amazing man of God. He was regular on the Friday night podcast, but you know, you guys met at the club. Me and my husband met in high school, but he met his wife on the DMZ in Korea. Like, whoa, like spots to people's house, right? Yeah. No, that's who you should have on the relationship conversation. But for sure. But they are an amazing couple, man. They are an amazing couple.
Yeah,
beautiful thing. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you very much. We tried.
So what caused y'all to start a relationship? Or I guess I should be asking you, Toya, what caused you to start the relationship advice podcast?
All right. So what happened is, like every marriage couple, we went through our dark season. We were like, what are we about to do? Are we divorcing? What are we doing? Are we gonna, it was done pretty much. And we didn't know what to do. We were to the point of, I don't love you anymore. I don't like you anymore. I'm done. That's pretty much where we were at about year 7, right before we hit year 7. So you heard of that 7-year switch or itch.
Yeah.
So that definitely happened. And we just had to, you know, really lean to God and really restore our marriage. So at that moment, I knew, okay, like we are hitting the darkest moment in our lives. Most people don't make it through this. And I said, you know what, God, when we get restored, this is going to be my ministry, period.
I love that you said when we get restored, not if. When. That shows the definite, like, it's rough, but ain't no give up in me, right?
Yeah.
But that's the beautiful thing. I like what Vic said, what you guys said in the beginning, where we give good relationship advice. Yeah. Because there's a lot of advice out there.
Yes, there's a lot of advice.
No, I ain't gonna lie, I say I'm gonna leave it right there. I ain't gonna leave it right there. I'm gonna pick it up again.
Come on, look, I'm ready for you. Laquita, I'm ready for you today.
So I mean,
before I got on this show.
We do need to take a moment and recognize, what's it been, 30 years, Laquita, you said? Y'all celebrated 30-year anniversary or 25-year anniversary?
So we've been together for 29 years, since 1992. And we have been married for 24.
Oh, so wow. Yeah.
That's what, you know, hey, what's up?
Awesome.
Yeah, congratulations.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Y'all must got married like you said high school, so y'all at 16? Y'all got married at 16?
Pretty close.
So I was 18 and he was 20 when we got married.
All right.
Yep. So
that's good.
29 years of relationship, 5 kids, 5 grandkids. Ooh. You name it, we've probably been through it and come out of it. But there's a lot of bad advice, and we received a lot of bad advice.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, because you know, and everybody won't agree with me. I heard this conversation on the radio recently. It was on, I don't know what the late show is, but Keith Sweat hosts a show.
Yeah. I know about his show.
Yeah, me and Ben was coming home recently one night, and the question came. He had the question out there: should married people go out with single people? And every relationship is different. You know, I'll put that disclaimer out there. But if you ask in my opinion, a married person that's happily married, happily married.
Yeah, there we go.
Happily married to their spouse has a license to give me a piece of advice.
Yeah.
The only license that I get from a divorced person is if they telling me to keep trying.
Yeah. No, that is really good, because even when Toya and I were going through our situation, like, even though like I didn't want to do anything with this marriage or whatever, right? I still had sense to some level, right? I wasn't like, I was still like nonsensical during that stage of my life, but I still had enough in me to not take advice from people who even cared for me, that I knew had been divorced or maybe remarried or whatever, because I knew that I could find my way out of I can justify my stupidity.
Right.
If I put myself in a situation to get advice from someone who had been divorced, even though these were people who really cared for me, and they meant the best, and they were giving me good advice.
Yeah.
But you're right. It was like I needed that advice from someone who did what I was trying to do, which is not divorce. And how do you fight for your spouse and not leave, right? And I needed someone to give me that type of advice. So, plus Keith Sweat, he's trying to get a check. So.
Yeah, that's right. He been paid, and he still can try.
Right. Like Keith Sweat, Steve Harvey. I'm not getting relationship advice from them, bro.
They're in a whole different stratosphere.
Yeah. Now, entertainment advice, business advice, let's go with it.
Yeah, but my relationship, nah. I mean, you know what I'm saying? But there was a guest on there that made me think about your podcast, Toya. One of the people who came on the line was a young sister. Well, I don't know how young she was, but she was a sister and she was married. And her answer to the question was, nah, I don't have a problem. I think going out and doing things with my single friends is better for me. And so I listened before I turned it off, because we was in the driveway. Before I turned it off, I was like, let me get what she got to say. And it was like, her reasoning behind that was because single people have that freedom and they get to remain more relevant and, whatever's going on in the culture or however, from dress and the things to do. And it made me think about your podcast, because recently you had put out a post where you were asking people to give some ideas about date night. And
that was a hot post.
Yeah. So I was thinking to myself, where's she at? I've been married for a long time. And we do have some dry married people. I'm not going to say that, but that's what makes them happy. That's them. Me and Ben is a different type of married couple. So that means we have different type of married couple friends, to where I don't feel like my single friends, I need to get relevance from them, because I got to understand. So I really did. When she answered that question, I was like, I don't know what your sister floating at or what she getting advice from.
Yeah.
And it made me think about your post. Like, what are the things that you can do to keep it spicy?
Right. And it's all about just being creative, because I know, we've been married 10 years now. So it's like you kind of get into your routine and your habits, and you're really not being creative. But that's where you have to be intentional and because you're right. Like, I shouldn't have to go to my single friends for fun. Then I'm like, you need some new friends, like, I don't understand why you would think I just need to be with my single friends. Like, where are the fun other couples, And I have people come to me all the time. Like, we don't have any friends. That's why community is huge. And I thank God for our church. Like, if it weren't for the church that we attend, we wouldn't have all these other couples around us. It's people we've served with, people we've taken trips with, and it's just like, we actually all have fun. We all like on the same level. We all like exchanging ideas. And the sad thing is, so many people don't have that. They literally just go to work, they go home, they have each other, and they don't really have anybody else that they can really just kick it with and just talk to, And it's like, that's something huge that's missing. So I try to post stuff to at least get people thinking about it, to just be like,
some balance,
so
give them some balance. Yeah, that's good. Some balance, giving them some balance, basically. Yeah, you need to have that. So one thing I want to ask, so I know you guys have been married 10 years. I actually been married. We celebrated our 10-year anniversary in January as well. So I can appreciate and respect where you guys are coming from. So one question I want to ask is there a particular client that you like to work with, like a couple that's been, or maybe it's a couple that's about to get married or been married a year or 5 years, 10 years. Is there a sweet spot that you feel like you really enjoy helping and supporting that type of couple?
Yeah, we actually like to grab the person who is seriously dating, meaning that they're dating with the intention to get married. So we like talking to those individuals, and then obviously anyone who is in their marriage. So someone who is currently married, we typically, for some reason, we're dealing with marriages that are in crisis.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it is. I know it's kind of like, it's like one extreme to the next, right? You're dealing with someone who's in bliss.
Yeah.
And then the very next day, you're dealing with someone in crisis.
Yeah.
That's called life. Yeah, that's really life.
Yeah.
That's how it
And the thing is, it's like no one goes to the doctor until they have a symptom that's almost too late, right? So that's just kind of like how relationships are. Is like, you know, a lot of them are like, you know, we're going to come to an expert or ask for help when it's, you know, an issue, you know.
Right.
And a lot of times, unfortunately, we catch them where it is so bad that it's almost, you know, irreversible, you know. But through the grace of God, you know, Toya and I, we've been able to help marriages simply because we've experienced some things. Now, there's some things that we haven't experienced where we don't have the license, right, to get involved with it, you know. So, so when we get into those situations, then that's when we actually say, hey, you know what? We know a counselor that you need to speak to because this is going into an area that, number one, we're not called, we're not qualified, and we really don't even want to go down that road because we fight for marriages, and there's just some things that might be irreversible, and we might need to deal with someone else that can handle it. So
that's real good wisdom. That's real good wisdom. Because there are situations where, like, mentor couples, we do great work, and I love that. One of the most, our church family during our darkest hour, our church family played an amazing role in helping us in order to maintain our marriage and not take it to what it was, but fix the broken pieces and get it to a better place than what it was. So that was majorly important, and having strong married couples around us was a good thing. I would say our best friends, they don't even live in this country, they live in the UK, and they were a powerful, they're a very strong married couple who we could be vulnerable with. We can just show up however we are. And in, you know, whatever condition, and we can receive from them, and everything is still normal. You know, every married couple needs that, and it's just been my experience that you can't pour into me what you yourself don't have, and that's what I mean by in singleness. Singleness is wonderful, but you've never cohabitated with a committed person, like not shacking, none of that. Marriage is something different. Marriage is something completely different. You've not made that ultimate commitment that says, I ain't going nowhere. I don't have an out option, right? I don't have an out option. I don't care how long you live with somebody, you got an out option.
Exactly. Like, you always have another option.
You always have another option.
When you commit to marriage, that is your plan B, C, D, E, F, G.
That's the only plan.
That's a great point.
That's the only plan. And as long as you have, I saw your post, Toya, where irreconcilable differences is the biggest thing. Like, come on now, there's no abuse. Physical, mental, emotional, financial. We done X that out. Me and you just right here at a road. We ain't gonna agree. So you know what? Where was that thing that made you come to the altar? Okay, grown people.
This is why I don't like being on Laquita's show. Because like she just comes straight for the jugular. She's gonna throw it right at your heart. And see, that's the kind of stuff right there, man. She cutthroat, Victor.
I've been with it 2 years. I've been rolling with it 2 years. I already know. I be like looking at these guests like, boy, y'all looking like a steak over there for the kids.
Yeah, man.
Oh my goodness, you're so hard.
I'm just, you know, marriage is a serious thing, and it's like, you know, this is not play. This is not optional. When I said until death do us part, it's not like you go into a marriage with somebody trick you with a contract. You think you signed one thing, but yet you signed that's
exactly.
This is a lifelong commitment. Better or worse, sickness and health, rich or poor, all that is usually the poor that drive you away. But But you know, now it's more of that's just vows that you say. That's a part of the ceremony. No one really honors or believes those vows. Like they say them on that day, and then after that, they out the window.
I mean, think of it like this. How many people do you know post a quote on Instagram, Facebook, and you know they don't live that quote?
Right.
That part.
Yeah.
So that's how they treat vows.
It's like people want to basically have the wedding, but not the marriage. You know, I heard somebody say that before. It's like you want that ceremony, you want the look, but the work that goes into that is something else. Which kind of leads me to another question, and we also have a question from a user as well. But I want to throw this one out there quickly. So, in your experiences, of course, in dealing with your clients, or even just dealing with family, friends, whatever, that are married. So, what about that couple that? And this happens to a lot of couples that grow differently. Like, you know, they got married at a young age. You know, maybe Laquita, you guys probably can relate to this tremendously. Like, if you got married at 18, but at 28, y'all are two completely different people. Really you know, and what would you say to that couple? I mean, I know what I would say, and I'm sure Laquita got some guidance. But from your perspective, what would you say?
I know what Laquita gonna say too.
I'm trying to sip my tea.
She said she just trying to sip, and you getting on her.
I'm just trying to sip my tea.
Really, it's all about like expectations. Like that's the post you were talking about, Laquita. So it's all about expectations, you know, and what are your goals? Like okay, I'll use myself for an example.
Okay.
All right. So we have our moment right now where we're like, we are going to be better stewards with God's money. Like, period. Okay. When you're single, you just say, you know what? I'm going to get what I want, buy what I want, when I want, period. That's it. Now you find somebody who fits into your mold, that fits into your life and your goals. And it's just like, you know what this person brings to my plate, I love it. Like him, he taught me how to dream. He taught me how to look more than just a regular 9-to-5 job and to work my way up. He was just like, no, there's more to life. What are your passions? Like, he had me thinking. So for me, I'm like, man, I never met a man like this. Oh yeah, he finna make me better. Like, yes, right? So we get married. I have my vows, and I'm just like, check, I won. We're married, he's mine, and now we live happily ever after. Where's the intentionality after that? There was none. It was just like, you know what? I still got a good job. He's gonna help me grow. He has his own vision, his own dreams. And now we're budgeting, you know, we're trying to do better with God's money, right? But at the end of the day, I'm like, well, wait a minute. Whoa. Now I've worked hard. I want to be able to buy what I want to buy. I want to be able to do what I want to do. So we had to come and have a sit down and really talk about, Toya, what do you want for our future?
Right. So let me pause because this is when I have realized that I married a completely different person. Right. Yeah. So we had separated. So I was sitting there like, wait a minute, the woman that I married has gradually went away from the idea that I fell in love with.
Right. I got you.
So now she's gonna catch us up to where we had our come to Jesus meeting.
Right. So then it's just like, and I'm just gonna use small examples. So like with budgeting, Toya, what are our goals? What are we trying to do? Like at this point, we already have a kid. You know, we know we're looking at private schools. We know we want to plan vacations. We know we want to get another house. Like, we have to plan for these things. So it was more of us sitting down and talking about expectations. Now, expectations when it came to finances, expectations as to what we thought marriage would look like. We came from two different households. His parents are still married. My parents divorced when I was an adult. But so how I grew up with parents, their marriage, it was different than how he saw marriage. So it's like we had to talk about all of those things. What do we want for ourselves? What do we want to pass on to our son? You know, what do we want to give back as Christians? What is our purpose? What are we giving back to the next generation? So it was just a whole molding of all of that. But it's too many people that look at marriage like, what are you doing for me? How do you fit into my ideas?
See, and that's where it goes, where people start to feel like that they have this, we lose chemistry, right? And chemistry is really not a such thing, right? We can get into that later if you want to. But for the example that Toya gave, it really came down to someone in that marriage has to be the one to step up and have to be, what did I say? What's my phrase? I'm going to be the bad guy, right? Meaning that someone has to step up and say, hey, you know what? We're not gelling correctly right now. We're not going in the same direction. You know, we're two different people. We're starting to lose chemistry, right? You know, and the way that, to answer your question, Victor, is intentionality, which Toya has said. That's when you both have to sit down and be intentional about what you are supposed to be achieving as a married couple. Because when you first meet each other, you're just going off on a whim. It's all emotions, and you're calling it chemistry, right? Because it's novelty, it's new, it's fresh, and it's cute and all that, right? But when that novelty goes away, so does the chemistry. So what is longevity? Longevity is when you're intentional. If we can use sports analogies, Tom Brady is not the greatest football player of all time in the quarterback position because of emotion. He had to overcome. Sometimes he didn't feel like working out. He had to go and do things even though he didn't feel like playing the game. He's hurt or whatever. And it's all about being intentional in creating that routine and going at it every day. And that's the same way you have to be in your marriage. Is you have to stay at it every single day. After that novelty, when you start playing football, everyone loves playing football when you're a kid. But when you start playing pro, it changes, man.
It's a job.
It becomes a job. You know, you already made all your money, so what keeps you going, right? So it's all about being intentional and knowing what your goals are. And that's how you can have longevity in your marriage and your relationships and stuff like that. So that's
like spot on. Like
spot on. Yeah.
Ben
good example, Tori.
An excellent example. Ben and I met in high school. So you got to know that we've changed multiple times through the years from 1992 to 2021. Oh my God, that's a lot of growth.
Yeah, it's a lot of change.
Because we're individuals, that did not mean that we grew in the same fashion.
Right.
Whether it was in maturity, likes, dislikes, character flaws, we did the gambit. We literally grew up together while having babies.
Right. Wow.
You know, adding that interesting mix. And the key there is what you said. We had to learn to be intentional, and we had to learn proper communication.
Oh, come on now.
Yes.
That proper everybody talking, saying the same thing, but because you're saying it two different ways, ain't nobody receiving.
Yeah.
Both of us saying the sky blue, but because we said it two different ways, we about to cut each other.
And at a different level of communication too. Yeah.
Exactly, Vic. Exactly. And when we become intentional with the chemistry, like you have to, like, you know, in some of the therapy sessions or group sessions and different things we've been together speaking with other married couples, you know, as a married couple, how in the world you have free license to do that? How did you not do that? How is that the problem? It's because we don't communicate. You know, because we don't communicate.
The communication is really, really important.
Absolutely. And you won't get that chemistry will go away if we're not communicating properly. If we're not, as you said, Ahmad, somebody's not playing the bad guy, if you will, by bringing the elephant to the forefront. Don't just leave him in the room.
Exactly.
Let's talk about him, and then we can address it. Don't go talk about the elephant to the chick next door. Don't go talk about the elephant to the brother that come deliver your water cooler every week. Don't talk about it with them. Talk about the elephant with the person that is causing the elephant. You both causing it. So let's talk about it with them, and you won't find yourself in a situation whereby now you're trying to bring three. Now your two relationship is four relationship, and you can't fix two when it's two additional ones.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. And that's something that Toya and I we learned, you know, over the last really 4 years, right? Because in 2017, that's when we had our shakeup, and then after that, the last three years and 2 months or so, we're like, okay, how are we going to handle this, so it's just working out for us now that we are a little bit more intentional, more focused. Expectations are handled much better, So now that the space that we're in is just so perfect for Toya to have her Relationship podcast, which is available on all podcast platforms, by the way.
Please, that's what I'm saying. Give us the info so we can drop it in. Please. So one question that came in here a few minutes ago from a Facebook user, question is there a such thing as being too old to get married if you've never been married?
Too old?
Too old, yes.
Oh no.
Oh no.
You're never too old. It's just
you can be too young.
I gotta believe it. Yeah, for sure. In certain states and jurisdictions, yes.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't want no Jeffrey Epstein situations up in there.
And it's funny though because we were just at an event on Saturday.
Yeah.
And there was a lady there, probably in her, I don't know, 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
And
she was the only one married in the group.
She had been married for 4 years.
Yeah.
But she was saying that both her and her husband have been single for so long, and that they were just having a hard time really merging together because they're so used to being single.
Right.
So I would say that's probably would be the only challenge is you live single for so long, you're used to everything going your way. And so something I like that our pastor tells people all the time, if you really want to be married, get a roommate. Like make sure that you learn how to share your space, that you know how to compromise, like toilet paper going the wrong way for people that are like that, people that are just like, where people leave their things around or, stuff is not organized the way that you like it. So because to go from being by yourself and everything your way to now you have a spouse, that will probably drive you crazy, that transition, because you love them. You want to serve them. You know what it's like. You know what it means to be married, and it's about the other person more than you. But doing it is something totally different. So I would just recommend sharing your space and getting used to that if marriage is something that you really want to do. So that way you can get used to that part of it.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And typically when you're older, you already know exactly what you want between the both of you.
That's true.
A lot of those games are not there anymore, you know. So you pretty much can say what you want on the first date a lot of times and say, look, I'm not here to play games. I want to get married. And if we're going to continue this relationship, this is the direction I want to go. I feel like, when you're older, you can say those things because it would typically be well received. No one should disrespect you. But, when you're in your 20s, you're still playing games, and 30s, you're playing half games, So it's in your, like Toya said, that probably the biggest thing would be, depending on how long you've been single. So, so really great question. Get out there and find love. eHarmony.com.
That's it. That's right.
Swipe right.
That's it. And real quick, we're gonna drop it again. You can find Toya on this podcast on Instagram at Toya TOYA_marriage advice. So we definitely want folks to follow you. So real quick, I have a question here. So there's somebody watching or listening here right now. They have an expertise as well, and they want to create a podcast. Anything you want to throw out there to anybody that's interested in creating their own podcast? How did you go about it? Not obviously in detail, but just what would you tell that person that's thinking about doing it? How they should even get started?
Right. I tell you, if you're thinking about it, then you should just go ahead and do it.
Right.
Because thinking about it is going to do nothing for to ease your curiosity. Right. So if you have a little bit of curiosity, go ahead and just try it out. And just to kind of be honest, like I actually provide like some trial runs with my program so that you can see if it's going to be a good fit for you. There's not one person who works with me that can say, well, I don't know if podcasting is right for me because I give you a trial run. Right.
Gotcha.
So I sleep good at night. Right.
Yep.
And that's so important because a lot of times when you want to try something out, and you want to work with someone who's a professional at this. I have, nearly 20 years experience producing and creating talk shows and for radio stations. So if you work it out and you try it out with me, trust me, I will help you determine if this is going to be a good fit for you or not, because I handpick my clients too. So, so I think if you're curious, go ahead and try it out. Like, don't just sit on it, because you might really be called, you might be talented, and you may have a true voice and a message, And
let me add into that. If you're thinking, I kind of know what I want to talk about, but I don't know if I have enough to create so many shows, like I feel like I'm gonna run out of ideas, that's normal. And that's why you do want to make sure you have a coach or a mentor, someone to help you really learn how to think of other ideas and expand on that. So that is normal if that is your fear. And another thing is you will not like the way you sound. And that is also normal. When I first heard myself, I was like, I hate my voice. This is not good. I don't want to do this anymore. And now it probably took me about 27 shows to get comfortable with hearing my voice. And we record, and it's every week a new show. So it took me 27 to be like, you know,
I'm about to say that's pretty specific. You said about 27.
That's like
I was about to say about 20.
That's like 7 months. It took us 7 months.
Right. Nice.
So number one, it took me about that time to get comfortable with the way I sound. And also that was the same time that I was comfortable on the mic to be myself.
Right.
So it took 27 shows to be like, you know what? Let me just be me. Period.
And that's what it is. But it takes a coach, you know, and really I say, you know, a coach can help you, but you really want to talk to someone who has broadcast industry because like for me, I have the experience of teaching people how to bring their talent out.
Yeah.
Like I can find talent and I can build it and I can mold it and create it. A lot of coaches in podcasting, what they do is they just tell you structure and techniques and they say, okay, go do it, you know? But me, it's like, I'm gonna coach you, teach you techniques, etc. But I'm also gonna be there to hold you accountable, make sure the shows are produced on time, make sure, you know, all of the other stuff that a producer of a talk show would do. I bring those elements to it because I have a true passion for the craft. Right. And so anyone who's listening that wants to podcast, then I may be the guy for you simply because I help you like a traditional coach. But then I'm gonna just say you're in the industry when you work with me. Like, welcome to the industry. And you're going to be a true podcaster / broadcaster, and I point you in that direction so that if you want to do something else in that field, you can say that, you can do that, you know. So Toya's next step is she wants to speak, she wants to do public speaking. Yeah. And the techniques that I've taught her, she can transition down to public speaking.
Right.
Well, there's a couple things in there I want to mention. So one, I didn't realize. So your website, first of all, if they want to work with you directly, Ahmad, right, is power77studios.com.
Yeah, that's it. You got it, man. So, you know your research, man. This guy.
Hey, man, that's what we do around here, man. That's what we do, right? And then secondly, I see Adina Collins has said that you worked with her, and I just listened to that Black Wall Street podcast.
Isn't it good?
Man, whoa. I said, Adina over there sounding like a true radio radio. I was like, nice, all smooth, and got your music in the background. I said,
Yeah. Just wait.
That's actually how I met Ahmad, was through Adina. I met Ahmad through Adina. He was on our Lunch and Learn, and I had been saying for a long time that I wanted a podcast, and I really just like. Amen. Everything Toya said. Ahmad has been working with me now longer than he probably should have with me getting my podcast ready. And that was for a lot of reasons. I absolutely hate the way that I sound. And it was weird.
That's it.
I get on here and I can talk with you, Vic. Like, we having a whole conversation and it's cool, but you just want me to sit here and talk at this thing for how long? Wow. So and eventually, and his coaching technique is amazing. And so my podcast will be ready very soon. I actually have some episodes, but I'm not going to put it out there.
You don't want to promote it yet. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Because we still have some tweaking that we want to do too.
But the overall experience of working with him is amazing.
So again, if anybody wants to work with Ahmad directly to get some coaching on podcasting, or just really feel like you are now part of the entertainment industry because he comes from the background, radio and promotion, Power 77, the numeric number 77 radio, or is it studios? No, Power 77 Studios.
Yeah, it's power77studios.com to learn more about how I can be your producer and coach.
Perfect. Excellent. Nah, that's good stuff right there. And I do want to drop something in here because you mentioned that also that Toya would like to get into speaking. I know you're her coach on that. I'm going to be hosting an event also on March 16th. It's actually a 3-day training we're doing, myself and a gentleman named Powell. So he'll be talking about publishing a book and that whole aspect. I'll be talking about the professional speaking aspect, how to get paid gigs, how to get out there and really build your brand as a speaker and that expertise. So I'm gonna just drop the link. Anybody interested in jumping in there, we're we got that link out there to register as well. So, but enough about me. So one other question. Let's talk about one other relationship question that I have. So I work with also people as, I've been a credit consultant, and one of the biggest things you mentioned just a moment ago, Toya, was when people are dealing with their finances and the budgeting aspect. So one couple that I've worked with recently, and of course I'm not going to throw any names out there, but they both just hit their 40-year-old age. So they've been married for, I think, like 12, 13 years, couple kids. They're both doing great financially with their careers, but they've had some bumps along the way with their credit, obviously, like most of us do. And so the challenge or the question I guess I'm trying to pose is, in that situation where one person is really aggressively focused on getting those expectations met, and then the other person they're down, especially in that heart-to-heart conversation you have. But when it comes to the consistency and the action, there's some struggles. And so then you find yourselves with these disagreements again. Yeah. Any guidance for that couple that's dealing with that exact transition right now?
Finances.
I mean, look, for me, it's been easy though, because I have to stay focused on the end goal.
Well, it wasn't easy at first. So kind of start with why, with because you kind of went there a little bit about how tough it was with your spending and stuff like that. I guess so. Yeah. And so, okay, when we just tell it, okay. Look, I love it. Look. Because this is like the finances in the house, right? Toya has this thing where she's like, I'm gonna just spend, right? I'm just gonna whatever I want, I'm gonna buy it, And then there is I'm not gonna say there's no regard, but there is low regard for budgeting, right? And she's just like, if the money is there, then it's available. Like, that's just how she thinks. So we still working on it.
I was saying, sound like y'all still working through that.
It's a progressive thing. It's a progressive thing.
So we have no advice for that couple. No, I'm just playing.
Y'all in real time working through.
Okay. So remember I told you I had to be a bad guy, right?
Yeah.
Right. So again, whoever is the one that is having the issue with the finances, they're going to have to work on their humility. And bite it. They're gonna have to bite it. And the person who is good with the finances, they're gonna have to be the bad guy. All right. So someone's gonna have to bite the bullet, and the other one's gonna have to pull the trigger. And that's the first conversation you're gonna have to have. Because that's what we did. That was the first conversation. I said, Toya, I'm gonna be the bad guy, and this is the financial plan. You're not gonna like me. I'm okay if you're gonna, lock it up for a few days or something. I pretty much told her, like, look, because that's what happens in a relationship. Like, it's used as a weapon sometimes, right? So I'm like, I'm ready for it, like whatever trick you want to use, okay. But that's the advice I'm telling you. You have to be ready for whatever retaliation is the point that I'm saying. Yeah. Whatever the retaliation is for you being a bad guy, you have to do that. But you have to show and prove when you start to do it. Because what happened was, when she started seeing the fruits of the labor, the fruits of the system being put in place. Yeah. Yep. Then all of a sudden the retaliation started turning to affection.
I can relate. I get it. Right? I get it.
So that's the advice. Is they have to have that conversation. Someone is better than the other in finances. So whoever is better, they have to be the bad guy, and that other person going to have to bite the bullet. And whoever's the bad guy, you're going to have to accept that retaliation for a little bit, just until you start seeing some of that results.
Seeing the results and that it works. Yeah.
Right. So here's what we did practically. I keep hitting this camera, ruining y'all show. But here's the practical advice on what we did for spending. Yeah. This is the practical advice we did for the spending, because that was our issue, right? Yeah. One thing is, we gave each other like an allowance, right? Yeah. And I'll even write Toya a check and put allowance on it with a little happy face, like, so I can do this to her, right?
Right.
Here's your allowance, baby. but don't do it. Don't do what I did there. That's just my personality.
Because he might not make it.
Yeah, not all relationships can handle that.
Yeah, the spice alive. But you really want to give like something like give the other person something to spend. Like give them something because they got to get that out. You know, they got to get it out. You know, and so she had her own spending money, and I was like, look, after this, you ain't get no more until 2 weeks, right? And so that was one thing. And then whenever it was something like a major purchase, because that's really where the issue came.
Right.
It was when like she wanted a major purchase, and she would be like, oh baby, if you get this, and then I get weak, right? So then I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna get weak. But we're gonna plan.
Yeah.
And then if so, we plan for major purchases. But then you have like those type of spur of the moment purchases. You got to think about that too. You know, when someone knocking on your door, you know, hey, you know what, we're selling Girl Scout cookies, or you know, or you fumbling through the TV and you see something like buy now, and you see the clicker, you know, going down. You got 9 minutes and 57 seconds left. You know, we spend thousands of dollars on that stuff. You know, So it's like, look, so what I did to combat that, this is where she shines. This is where my wife shines. We created this process where I said, I need time.
Yep.
I need time. So I means, is this a selfish purchase, or is this a purchase that's going to benefit the whole family? Need, is it a need or is it a want? And then time. Is this something that's an emergency, or is it something that we can put off to later where we can save or whatever?
Yeah.
So that's what we say. And I said, and every time I talk to a salesperson, so do you want this? And Toya hears me say, I need time.
Yeah.
And the salesman ain't come saying I need time, like I need to think about it.
For
Right. But my wife is like, he's about to say no.
Yeah.
Call is over.
That's pretty much what that translates to. No.
Like he's gonna sit there and analyze this thing to see, you know.
I love that.
So,
that's cute. I like that.
Yeah. So for the last few years, we've been working on that.
Yeah.
And this is how it's helped us out with finances.
Right.
And we've seen a lot of affection.
Yeah.
You
know what I'm hearing? Bro. What I'm hearing though is that at the bottom line is compromise and communication. You know, being able to. You know, I always tell young couples, you know, that's younger than me when I say young couples, that basically the moment that you are able to care more about your spouse than about really yourself, you have arrived. Because, and hopefully they are feeling the same way. So that way you're not lacking because they got you covered. You got them covered. And nobody feels like they're not getting the support or the love that they need.
Mutual submission.
That's it. And usually it's probably going to take you a few years to get to that point.
It takes time.
You know, especially if you're getting married in your 20s or something, it doesn't quite click all the time. And then as far as that budgeting thing, I love that guidance. What we decided to do is we signed up for mint.com. And you know, give you all the pie charts, where your money's going. And together, looking at that, realizing that we were eating out, spending more money eating out than we were paying rent at the time. That was the eye opener, because I was talking till I was doing the face. But till it was a visual in a chart, it made it real for like, wow,
really
we
good.
Spend $300 more eating out than we do to live every month. Those are the type of things that really change things. So I love your I need time. That's a fabulous way for you guys to give each other a signal. Hey, that means shut it down. Shut it down.
Shut it down.
I love that. And
shut it down.
That fact that compromise. I think once we learn that compromise does not mean somebody wins and somebody loses.
Right.
It becomes so much easier to do. And getting to that point in the conversation where, you know what, I don't really agree with what you're saying. I understand where you're coming from. I still feel the way that I feel.
Right.
But I got you. And you know, nobody loses. Nobody wins as an individual, right? But as your marriage wins. It gets stronger. You know, because finances is a big part of why you stay together or why you break up when we don't understand finances. And like, I know for me, I'm going to make sure every daily bill is the weekly, monthly bills is paid. I don't care if I got a quarter left. That's going to get paid. Whereas Ben is better with, he don't care if nothing get paid. But if that bank account makes you feel good,
yeah. Come on, yeah, man. Like, come on.
That's real talk, though. That's real talk.
How many more seconds we got? Oh, we ain't got that. Oh, well,
we keep it real in the relationship.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
Yeah, it's like, come on.
See, Laquita, I'm like you. Like, that's why, so we both worked years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got pregnant, towards the end of the pregnancy is when I stayed home. And then I stayed home for 3 years with Prince. So then I stayed home for a few years. So with us being on one income, me, I'm like, as soon as I get the bill, I'm paying it. I'm paying it right now, right?
Yep.
But this one, he's just like, no, I'm taking over the finance.
Hey, man,
It was like certain.
Okay, go ahead.
I said certain companies. He'd be like, certain companies have a grace period.
Right. I already know. We're gonna step on this thing.
Look, I feel you. I would compromise. I wish you would have come up with a cute little saying like that. So how we ended up compromising on it is, this is the budget. How much money do we want to save every month? We come up with that plan. Jesus gonna have to tap that joke on the shoulder and say, give her more than that.
Yeah.
Not gonna happen. So we gotta figure it out. With this, everything is getting paid, but he's
just like, but we ain't got none at the end of the week.
Well, we paid every bill.
Like Toy would take one check and pay the whole month with it, and I'd be like, wait a minute, what we gonna do for the next?
Right. Hey man, we got to diversify our funds.
Yeah.
I don't want to be thinking
we
like
eating beans out of a can, not because we broke, but because we spent everything in the first check.
Right. I got you.
I don't want anything sitting in my mind. I want to get rid of it all. Please.
But once we created a system, and I was just like, look, it's like, we can forego this because of that, and. Yada yada yada, and it worked out, So
it does. I think the moment that it clicked with me that it worked, instead of me being mad about it, because just because I stopped talking about it didn't mean I wasn't still mad about it.
Right.
I was still mad. I had just decided I wasn't gonna talk to him no more about it. Like, I'm done. And on his he was still active duty, and on his last deployment to Iraq, there was nobody fit to be what we called an FRG leader, because everybody. The person who should have been was single. The next person who should have been had financial issues. And so they had to come to him like, you know what, man, you the only person, your life right, including your finance. You ain't got ain't nobody calling up here talking about monthly owe a bill. And then it was like, okay, because now we owe that, we paying that bill on time. I can pop my collar on that when I'm getting them paid. But sitting in that bank account was more than our 3 months of earnings, and that had nothing to do with me. And none at all.
And we know your husband is like that Roman soldier in the Bible. We talk about he was like, all I gotta do is give a command.
Nice. Hey, this has been tremendously fun. We get to the top of the hour. I wanted to make sure we drop your contacts again. So for the Relationship. Right. For the Relationship podcast, visit Toya_marriage advice over there on IG. Definitely make sure you give her some support. I'm following now, so I'll be checking you guys out. Awesome. And then for sure on the podcast mentoring, make sure you work with my man Ahmad over here at I got it right here. Site is power77studios.com.
You got it, man. Appreciate it, man. This was really fun. It's always fun, and Laquita, it's always a pleasure to hang out with you. And Victor, it's good meeting you, brother. I saw you connected with me on LinkedIn. I'll accept and follow back. So
absolutely, got you covered.
Definitely do some stuff, man. So awesome. Thanks again for having us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, Create Your Future Self live every Monday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you would like to join our podcast or visit the show or even be a guest on the show, email us at createyourfutureselflive@gmail.com. And also you'll get the registration link if you want to keep up with upcoming interviews. Who we got next week? We got another good one next week, I believe, right?
We got another good one next week for sure. Hold on, let me hit that. Let me hit my little calendar button and tell you who we got coming up, because we have hot guests every week. Coming up next week is Miss Carol Boston. of Carol Boston Accelerator. She's another amazing guest. She was a lunch and learn guest for me and Adina throughout the pandemic, and she has some amazing value, and she is the queen of reframe. She can reframe it for you or help you get to this place where you can reframe it, and what looked like it was going to be a pit turns out to be a money pit.
Oh, wow.
Tune in.
Tune in next week to hear the rest of the story.
Right.
For sure. But you guys that have been joining us across Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, and Twitter, thank you so much for your continued support. If this is your first time joining us on Create Your Future Self Live, thank you. Go ahead and hit those like and subscribe buttons. If you haven't subscribed to YouTube, hit that subscribe button right now. And like and share this video across the relevant platforms. Until next time, I'm Laquita Monley. This is Mr. Victor Johnson, and we will see you guys next Monday at 6 p.m. Take care.
Peace.